Hello, my fellow Earth Angels. Welcome back for another lesson. Shall we jump in? Is there something on my face? It's okay. It's a good face though, right? I'm feeling cute today. I feel cute every day. Never mind that. Okay. What lesson are we jumping into today? We are going to talk about how being the bigger person means you're mentally stronger. So you should aim to be the bigger person. I know. That is so hard, especially in this world where I think people go out of their way to try to get a reaction out of you, which means that it is that much more important if you can be the bigger person. What do I mean by be the bigger person? Be the person that is quick to end the argument. Be the person that's quick to come to a resolution. Be the person that's quicker to sacrifice something in the name of peace. Be the person that is quicker to preserve the relationship rather than letting some nonsense persist longer than it really should. I feel like disagreements are natural. It's going to happen in life with your partner, with your friends, with your coworkers, with strangers, with anyone. I feel like it is very natural to have disagreements, and we're going to have them. But I think what sets us apart from the rest of the world and what we're called to do is be the bigger person. And to be the bigger person successfully, it's a testament of your wisdom. It's a testament of your mental strength. It's a testament of your self-control, something that a lot of people in this world lack. So would you rather be right in the situation and sever a good relationship? Or would you rather maintain the peace and harmony if it's something that's really insignificant? Would you rather be bigger and badder and get your big one off and maybe an hour later feel really bad about how you handled the situation because you know you showed up poorly? We have to think, we have to do forward thinking. That's what I'm trying to say. We have to do forward thinking. We have to think beyond the next second. We have to think maybe an hour from now, maybe a week from now, maybe a month from now, maybe, I don't know, at the end of my life, when the Lord is asking us to recount why we acted that way in that situation. We have to think about the future, not just the moment. Like, for us to respond in the way our flesh would love to respond, and trust me, I have had some pretty bad responses to things that led to me having to humble myself because I just felt very ashamed of how I acted in a lot of situations. And it's best to avoid it. I've since learned and grown, Riley, I've since learned and grown that it's really not worth it. And the inner turmoil that a poor reaction causes is really not worth it. So I guess in practice, what does that look like? Let me try to think of a couple of examples in life. First of all, this year at work, I went through some really challenging things with my management team at work. And it was so bad, we had to take it to HR. And my management was acting out. And I feel like my management was acting out because what I came to learn is they have done what they were doing to me to a few people, and most people are quite passive. They just let it happen. Not me. I said, you got the right one on the right day. Okay. Have you ever heard this saying? Actually, let me not say that. But essentially, yeah, I had a problem with my management. We had to take it to HR, or rather they took it to HR and they was in the wrong. And they thought I was just going to let that slide. No, I think they did so many things trying to get a reaction out of me to validate what they were trying to say. But by the grace of God, he helped me to show up. He helped me to show up and articulate myself in a way that got my point across and shined the light on what was really going on without it affecting my image, without me having to have such a big reaction that it distracted from the actual problem, and now everyone's focused on my reaction. Like, that's what we want to get away from. We want to get away from having these please don't be distracted. Don't let the enemy win. I'm just kidding, Riley. Anyway, we don't want our reaction to be the hot topic of whatever happened, because if someone slighted you but your reaction was so bad that now what they did is being overshadowed by your actions, are you gonna feel proud of that? Or do you wanna rise above and think, use your mind to handle that situation, or rather be still and let the Lord handle that situation so that you can remain in a good image, so that people don't think of you and think of these poor actions that you just did, right? We don't want that. We don't want that. Let's use a driving example. I used to have really bad road rage. Let me not say really bad road rage, because I've seen like videos of like what really bad road rage looks like, and I don't think that was me. But I'd rather, like, if somebody tried to cut me off, like there was instances in the past where I would speed up and try to cut them off back. What in the world was I thinking? That is so dangerous. And it's like, in a point like that, what's more important? Making my point and showing that, oh, you're not going to cut me off, I'm going to cut you back off, and possibly causing an accident? Or would it have served me better to have the mental strength to think, maybe they're really in a rush. Maybe they are on their way to the hospital because someone they love is having a baby, or maybe someone in their life just had an accident and they are in a rush, or maybe they just had the worst day at work and they just need to get home. Like, I think if we show more compassion, it will help us with the mental strength thing, because it's very easy to get bogged down by how someone just treated us and how it's affecting us. But if we take a step back and perhaps try to put ourselves in their shoes and think, well, what could cause them to do something like that? I think it will really help us be able to move with grace in these situations. Let's think about arguments with a partner or a friend or a family member. Situations like that, if you value the relationship deeply, is being right really that important? I guess it depends on what we're talking about, but I think you have to think of arguments in a few scenarios. Like, I feel like there's arguments where if we have a difference of opinion, it literally doesn't matter, because we are two different separate humans that can exist with their own ideas, their own minds, their own way of thinking. And if it's something that falls into that bucket, it's really of little importance. So you have to remember that the relationship is more valuable than being right about that. So those are the type of things where you need to be the first to say, all right, you got it. Anyway, and move on. Then there's maybe arguments or situations or things where it comes down to morals. Maybe they did something morally wrong, or they disagree with something you did. Maybe the argument is about values and morals, right? That's a much bigger topic. That's not something we're just going to sweep under the rug. But how you handle that is very important, right? I feel like in situations like that, you need to communicate. But if communicating is not possible at that time, the best thing you can do is remove yourself. Physically remove yourself, because having a conversation with somebody when the tension is just growing, it's really only going to lead to chaos. So I think you would need to have the mental strength to be the bigger person to recognize that you guys need to leave that conversation alone. Maybe just table it, not indefinitely, but until both people can walk away and decompress so that they can come back like they have some sense and finish the conversation. Or if it is so big that it's like no coming back from, like it's really y'all are on opposite sides of the fence, and now it interferes with how you live your life, or you guys just can't come into agreement, you have to have the mental strength to let go of that relationship for the peace of both of you. So I kind of ran through a few examples of what I feel like this can look like, but ultimately, if we are trying to live our life like Christ, you've heard the saying, what would Jesus do? Literally think, what would Jesus do? Because Jesus is all about grace, forgiveness, mercy, understanding, compassion, right? He literally put himself in our shoes. Remember, he came down here and died for us, for our sins. Not that we deserved it. Yeah. So if we're living like Christ, we need to be the first to forgive, the first to try to reach peace, the first to say, hey, I want to reach resolution with you. I care about this relationship so much. I don't want to see us going back and forth. I want to see us come to a resolution in love. Or I want to see us communicate out of love. I don't want to be fighting with you. I don't want to be disparaging you. I don't want to be putting you down, and I don't want you to be doing any of that to me. So I think it is on us to take the high road, especially when we're dealing with people that don't, if they're not tapped into the Lord the way we're tapped into the Lord, my fellow earth angel, they won't be able to do this because they are so consumed with the flesh. They are so consumed with being right. They are so consumed with being the know-it-all. Let them have that. Preserve your peace. There is peace in saying, okay, and really letting it go, especially if it's not actually impacting you. If when you're going to leave that conversation, it has no bearing on the rest of your life, why would you let that consume more mental energy than it's worth? Exactly. All right. I think this would be a good time to get into what Bible verse supports what I'm saying. I feel like this topic is just so good. There's actually a few Bible verses, obviously, that support what I'm saying, and a few of them are just so good. I couldn't choose, so we're just gonna do a few, but we're not gonna deep dive into really any of them, but I just more so wanna give you the awareness, and you can go look for yourself and get into the word a little bit more. So the first one we'll talk about, Proverbs 15, verse 1. A gentle answer turns away wrath, but a harsh word stirs up anger. The Lord is saying, if you meet fire with fire, you're going to get an explosion, right? So the best way to combat that fire, maybe be the water. Be the living water. You're drinking the living water. Go to my Etsy shop. Anyway, yes, so the Lord is telling us, don't meet anger with anger, because it's only gonna multiply anger, and that is not righteous living, okay? Okay, let's go to another one. Which one do I want to read? I think this one definitely aligns with what I was saying. This is James chapter 1, verse 19 through 20. Everyone should be quick to listen, slow to speak, and slow to become angry, because human anger does not produce the righteousness that God desires. God is literally teaching us, don't do this so much. Do this. Just listen, especially if you disagree. Remember, if it has no real bearing on your life, or it's not gonna matter once you leave that conversation, just let them get that off. Let them speak. Let them say whatever it is they wanna say, even if you disagree. Shoot, disassociate from it. And once they're done, you say, okay, that's it. That's it. That's it. That's all. Okay. Do more listening than speaking, especially if you are talking to someone that is foolish. It is a disservice to you to go back and forth with someone that is foolish. Remember that, because it's draining you of your peace and it's giving them their energy, because foolish people thrive off strife. They get energized from chaos. They like that stuff. We like peace, because remember, anything peace is God. God is peace. Peace and God go together. Strife, that's the enemy's playground, okay? So we want to dissociate from that altogether. We want to live a peaceful life. Moving on to Matthew chapter 5, verse 9. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they will be called children of God. God will recognize you by being a peacemaker, because that is a quality of God, and he has called us to live like him. Remember, we're made in God's image, so we want to get as close as possible to his righteous living. And remember, God is peace and peace is God. So if you are a peacemaker, especially when someone is trying to be the opposite of peace, the Lord's going to recognize that. And remember, you're not trying to win brownie points in the world. You're trying to win brownie points with God, so he will let you into the kingdom. Or at least that's what I'm trying to do. All right. Another one. Ephesians chapter 4, verse 2 through 3. Be completely humble and gentle. Be patient, bearing with one another in love. Make every effort to keep the unity of the Spirit through the bond of peace. God is promoting being united over winning an argument. Let winning go. You don't have to win. You already won. By choosing peace, choosing the path that aligns with the God, you already won. You won eternity, okay? Remember that. Remember that. Be humble. I know our flesh wants us to win the argument, wants us to make our point, get our point across, be understood. Let all of that go. You literally can't have the mental strength to be humble enough to let something go. I think I said that wrong. You can't have the mental strength to be able to just walk away from an argument if you can't humble yourself. Because being right is all about ego. You have to shed the ego, okay? And the last one I'll go over is 1 Peter chapter 3, verse 9. Do not repay evil with evil or insult with insult. On the contrary, repay evil with blessing. You know, I am reading this off my phone, and I want to see if that's actually going to go longer. And you know, while I'm up, let me get one more thing. Yeah. I actually want to go to 1 Peter and see if that's a bit longer, because it looks like it's cut off on my phone, and that looked like a good one. So bear with me. And I am not cutting this out. Y'all can fast forward. Love you long time. All right, 1 Peter. I gotta go to 1580. So many pages in this Bible. Y'all are so patient. I appreciate you. Thank you. We are getting there. Oh shoot, I went too far. Oh, I did go too far. All right, 1 Peter chapter 3, verse 9. Yes, okay. This version says, finally, all of you be like-minded and sympathetic. Love one another and be compassionate and humble, not paying back evil for evil or insult for insult, but on the contrary, giving a blessing, since you were called for this, so that you may inherit a blessing. Oh man, I'm so glad I followed that idea where the Lord said, go get your actual Bible and open it up and read that. Because imagine if I just went off what is on my screen. It's very simple. It's a concise version of 1 Peter chapter 3. But I come back here, and this, I think, is the perfect verse to end the video. Because again, we're talking about being the bigger person, because that really shows your mental strength. And you know what mental strength is equivalent to? Wisdom, wisdom, wisdom. You have the wisdom to do better. You know you're supposed to do better, so therefore you do better. And this is telling you, do not pay back evil for evil or insult for insult, because you know by doing that, you would get the opposite of the blessing. But we want the blessing. And this is telling us in order to get the blessing, you need to be compassionate. You need to be humble. Don't repay evil for evil. Do not repay insult for insult. Don't meet somebody in hell, all right? Because you have a higher calling. And with that, I close my Bible. I think that was a good one. So you remember that you are so strong to be able to recognize that you just need to walk away from something. It takes a lot of strength to execute that and find peace in that. A lot of people struggle with that. But remember, we are set apart and we are capable of doing this. So thank you for listening to today's lesson. Before I leave you, I just want to plug one more thing. If you've watched the past videos, you know that I am selling a Etsy. No, I am not selling an Etsy. I am on Etsy. I opened an Etsy shop. I made a calendar for 2026. If you're watching this past 2026, that Etsy shop should have more than this calendar. Shoot, it might have a new calendar depending on what year it is. But you can find the description. You can find in my description the link to my Etsy shop. In this calendar, I have different pictures that I took myself of the Lord's great work. They're pictures of nature, and on each month I have a Proverbs verse at the top. You should definitely read. I have affirmations related to the Proverbs verse. And I have reflection questions on the bottom to help guide your month. I think this is really like a self-improvement type of calendar, a faith-filled, inspirational, motivational, self-improvement type of calendar, because that's all the stuff I'm into. I hope you like this. This is literally one of my favorite pictures. Literally, I was showing my dad my calendar and he was like, wow, I've never looked at a tree from this angle. But yes, this is my calendar. The Lord just gave me this idea to make a calendar one day. I had no clue how to make a calendar, but the Lord, he saw me through every step of making this calendar. And now what do we have? A calendar! And I'm so proud of it. I'm so grateful to actually have created something. And then now I can offer it to the world. I definitely think it will promote some healing and some love. So go ahead and check that out on my Etsy shop. I think you should place an order. As of today, I have 4 orders. And I would really hope that after y'all watch this video, you go place another one. All right, thank you for watching, and I will see you for tomorrow's lesson. Bye.